So hey guys, I thought we would try out something a little bit different this week. One of the #1 things I get requests for is more firewood videos, so I thought we would do that. We'll put together what I call a Wood Heat Wednesday series. We'll run this every Wednesday, try it out for a month, see how it goes. If there's enough interest in it, we'll carry on, and if not, we'll slowly start fading this out. The plan is to put together maybe some longer videos, some shorter videos, maybe something like some quick tips, and then some more in-depth detail type videos as well. I like to cover topics such as cutting, splitting, stacking, seasoning firewood to running the wood stove. If you have any particular topics you'd like to see covered, you can always leave a comment. I read every single comment. If you want to stay anonymous and suggest something or even provide feedback on this, in the description of every single video there's a link down there where you can click there and suggest video topics and provide feedback. So let's get into this week's video. So a lot of the farmers have been just kicking off their workload on getting some of the crops harvested out. That a lot of times gets my mind going on what do I got to get in place and checked over before the wood burning season starts. So I thought in this video we would kick things off with a little checklist here of some things to look over on your stove so you have a nice safe and warm winter. So of course one of the very first things you want to do is take a look at your chimney. I'd really recommend running a brush up and down it. We do clean ours in the springtime. A big part of the reason for that is soot holds a lot of moisture and then you get those hot humid days. So the big part of the reason we run a brush up and down the chimney in the fall time is to make sure that there's no blockage that potentially is formed in there, whether that's a bird's nest, bee's nest, or anything along those lines, that we can get that cleared out. It's not going to reduce your draft at all and potentially catch on fire. When selecting a brush to run up and down your chimney, if you have a stainless steel chimney like the one that's behind me here, it's really recommended to use a poly brush. The big part of the reason for that is you can damage the stainless steel. If you have a mason chimney, of course, you can run a wire brush. They're a little bit more of a tougher scrubbing type brush, which is great, especially since a lot of times the mason chimneys have a little bit more texture, coarse, more surface for that creosote to stick to, or something like this. A poly brush will do a fantastic job at it and it won't damage that chimney. So let's go inside and take a look at our wood stove. There's a couple things that we're going to want to examine pretty closely. The very first thing is our fire brick. Fire brick's used to reflect the heat back towards the fire so you get a hotter, cleaner burning fire. But the big main thing is it really helps protect your stove itself. If your stove gets too hot, it can warp, it can crack, and really shorten the life of your stove. Fire bricks tend to crack really early in the season when they're holding a lot of moisture, when you're first kind of getting that stove lit up for the season, so keep a pretty close eye on it. One thing I would recommend doing is pulling your fire brick out and putting it back in. Sometimes these things can develop such hairline cracks that you don't even realize it until you start pulling them out. I had one that cracked on us last year. I went in to swap it out and I realized I actually had a couple others that were needing to be replaced as well. The next thing we're going to take a look at is our door gasket. This is a pretty critical piece. A lot of the stoves nowadays are all airtight, so you have a certain place that the air flows in and out of the stove, and if the door isn't sealing correctly, then excess air can get sucked in there. So your stove can get out of control. You don't have any way to really control the air, so you're burning more wood, you're running the risk of the fire getting too hot, so we want to take a look at this. The best way to do this is take a dollar bill, close the door on it, and see if you can slide that dollar bill out. If you can, it's time to replace that gasket. And make sure you do it all the way around the edges of your door. Just slide the dollar bill over and repeat the test. So now is also a great time to review your smoke detectors. I don't think a lot of people realize this, but smoke detectors do have an expiration on them. If you have them connected directly to the power of your house, I would still recommend going around to them and making sure that all the batteries are good in there. Just in case the power goes out, you get that little extra reassurance. Of course, taking a look at your CO2 detector and then all your fire extinguishers, making sure that they're still reading good on the pressure gauge. I also like to go out and do a little review of what wood I'm going to be burning for the year. Going out and testing with my moisture meter. Basically, I'm looking for anything 20% moisture or less. One way you can do this if you don't have a moisture meter is just clack two pieces of wood together. You're basically trying to see if they feel lighter. You're listening for the sound, see if it's got sort of a hollower sound to it. And then the other thing I'm really starting to think about is bringing in the firewood that I'm going to be using for that winter. We stuff all our stuff into a particular location. I like to start off bringing softer woods in, then I move to a harder mixed variety, and then I finish off with the softer wood variety. So it sort of goes with the season. So obviously the spring and the fall time, you're not needing as much heat, you don't need as long a burn, so you can get away with a lot softer woods. And as you approach the nice coldest parts of the month, you have that nice hardwood there to carry you through it. Also, September seems to be a pretty rainy month, so if I'm going to be leaving any wood that I plan to use for the up and coming winter outside and expose the elements, I'll start thinking about tarping this. When I tarp stuff, I won't cover the sides. I'll just cover just the top. That way the airflow can still go through there. You're not trapping any moisture in, and just covering it from the top. Obviously things can vary quite a bit depending on your setup, but these are just a couple of things that I start thinking about and looking over before the wood season starts. That way everything's all set to go. If there's any issues, I can address them, have plenty of time to get them fixed before we actually need to get that stove up and going. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.